Welcome to the Soulfire Podcast, where healing is raw, truth is sacred, and your story gets to burn and rebuild in the same breath. I'm Power Coach Alishia, pattern breaker, soul mirror, fire starter, and the unapologetic voice of the burn it down and rise anyways revolution. We don't fluff your wounds, we don't filter your truth, and we don't water down healing so that people stay comfortable. You've spent way too damn long proving your worth to people who only love the version of you that stayed small, quiet, and convenient. If you've ever swallowed your truth to keep the peace, shrunk yourself to stay chosen, or disappeared in your life, this season isn't just a reset or another motivational podcast. This is where you reclaim your voice, your fire, and your fucking self. I'll give you the truth that heals, frameworks that hold, and soul codes that will change how you live, lead, love, and rise. Lovey, come forward. It's time for you to embody your wholeness. And I'm not only leading this season, I'm living it right beside you. Let's fucking go. So the way that money moves in your life is not about money. It's actually what feels safe for you to hold, like what feels allowed to you, and what part of you is still deciding how much is okay. So today we're going to be talking about healing the story that's running your money. And this is part of our Sacred Yes series, where you're learning how to trust what your soul has been showing you and actually move from that place. And in the last episode, we talked about the gap between knowing and choosing and trusting yourself and moving from that place so that your soul can be clear and your decisions can still come from that place inside of you. Okay, so in this episode, this is where we're going to go underneath that, because there's a reason that your decisions don't always match your knowing. Okay, so every person, but in our world, we're working with women, right? So every woman is building on a money story. Okay, so this story is running underneath every decision that you make about money. Okay, and not from like that logical standpoint, right? What you're telling yourself. It's the one that your body believes. Pay attention, lean in. It's not mind and thoughts and processing. Okay, it's what your body believes. What feels like enough or too much or possible or risky, safe, right? Like what you deserve. Okay, that story comes from your life. And what you can't do is try to heal that story by forcing your business to deliver the result that's going to heal that, okay? Because your system protects what is learned, okay? And your system has already learned what's safe to receive, like, okay, what it's safe to receive, what it's safe to charge, what it's safe to hold, what it deserves, right? So once that gets wired in, it actually becomes the invisible boundary, okay? Your system is protecting familiarity. That's something so important for you to know, okay? So it's about extending that capacity, extending that mindset, that energy, and that vibration so that you can hold it. Otherwise, it goes into default mode and it protects what's familiar. So this is why you keep hitting the same level, or not even being able to get any traction in the first place, because the pattern will start to repeat in this place. You expand, you grow, right? You get close to something bigger, and then something always pulls you back. In my world, what I noticed is I would always spend back to zero. There would not be money in the savings account for long term. So there would end up being money in a savings account, right? However, it would get spent to zero. It wouldn't stay there and accumulate and compound. Also, another thing is if there was money allotted for things, what I would do is I would use the money that was allotted for certain things for something else, and then just believe and know that the money for whatever it was allotted for would come back. And the truth is, that's a law of attraction thing. I would say 9 times, 8 times out of 10, once I learned the law of attraction, once I learned the law of attraction and I kept my vibrational frequency high, then it would work itself out. However, I was still operating under the safety of that old money story, okay? So what would happen though is I would constantly feel like I was never doing good enough. I would constantly feel like that I wasn't good with money. I was constantly feeling like I was making the wrong decisions, and it was making me feel like a failure or like, mm, I mean, most people in my life or, whatever didn't know, but it just almost made me feel like a fraud in a way because when you're operating in the system that goes against what you truly want, it makes you feel those ways because part of you hasn't updated what's safe yet. And until you update what's safe, you will always run those ways. And that's exactly, again, that's a big part of what's in your birth chart and how you show up and how you operate. Listen, my foundational astrological sign is a Taurus. Taurus is are statistically really fucking phenomenal with money. But they're ruled by the planet of Venus, and that is money, possessions, beauty, love, romance, relationships, right? And so if I am ruled by the planet that is money and possessions doubly, I'm a double Venus with my sun sign in Taurus and my rising sign in Libra, I should be exemplary with money, right? But I'm in the shadow of that because of my childhood and how I was raised and everything around money, right? So in looking into my birth chart, though, it will automatically tell you that if my money wounds aren't healed, here's exactly how it's going to show up. Spending past your means, moving things around, not having a savings account, spending to zero. It will be in my chart because it shows where your money story lives. It shows where it started and what your soul is actually designed to experience instead around your money and how you hold it, right? That's another thing that will come up inside of the personalized birth chart soul and wealth course, right? It gets mapped out for you so that you can see that through. And remember, we do that through the audios and the soul architecture, the healing patterns, the wealth blueprint, and your 90-day alignment plan, right? So join the Queendom at the VIP level and you'll get that birth chart soul and wealth course. And plus so many other things. So all you need to do is click the link in the show notes. You can read all about it, join, and also a 30-day soul wealth and relationship reset challenge. And it is a phenomenal freaking challenge. You will absolutely love it. So the key here that I really want you to connect with is that you're holding a pattern. Okay. And that pattern is what blocks the money. Okay. So there's the buzzword out in the world of money blocks. So what we're talking about today isn't like the money blocks and the way that people talk about it. So I need you to stick with me here. What we're talking about today is about a pattern that's been running for so long, it feels like a truth. A money block and a pattern that feels like a truth aren't quite the same thing, right? So your decisions actually reflect that pattern. And in business, that can look like hesitation and undercharging. It could look like pulling back or overthinking or not even wanting to charge at all and do it for free and devaluing what it is that you offer. Or when we say hesitation, instead of going to market and taking the action that's actually going to bring you to sales, you avoid that. Instead, you're building graphics. Instead, you're thinking about building a website and studying that, or you're wasting time in AI, right? Because part of you doesn't feel fully safe with it yet, right? And so instead of feeling safe in the value, what you charge, how you show up, and being in the world, you're in the background, you're in the behind the scenes because that's where you feel the most safe, right? So that's the pattern that's going on that you're holding on to, and the pattern that is being called forward to say, hey, this is something that you're going to want to shift if you want to be able to extend your capacity, expand your capacity for the money that you hold, the way that you manage it, the way that you move with it, the way that you think about it, your energy towards it, the way that you value it, honor it, respect it. All of those things are so fucking important. And this shift happens when your story becomes visible. Okay, so the moment that you can see the story, it loses all of its power. It loses all of its control because now your decisions can come from awareness Currently, you're in reaction mode. And it's an automatic pattern, it's an automatic default, it's the automatic way that you react. So, what if everything that you've been forcing day in and day out in your life up to this point was never meant for you in the first place? What if? Well, I have a community that's built specifically for women just like you. And in this community, we go straight to your birth chart because this is where your real soul and wealth design lives. Inside the Queendom, every single month, we run 4 live sessions together. A wealth camp for your money, a soul camp for your healing, 2 soul money roadmap workshops to map your aligned path forward, all custom built around your birth chart and your soul's design. This is your missing piece because it's your design, your chart, your wealth frequency, and your soul. That's what makes it so freaking powerful. And when you join at VIP, you receive a fully personalized birth chart, soul, and wealth course that has 4 custom audios in there recorded specifically for you and your chart. It has your soul architecture, your healing patterns, your wealth wiring, your relationship dynamics, your relationship rhythm, your daily rhythm, how you're meant to make money, how you're meant to show up, what business you're meant to build. All of that is in there. And then it's all wrapped together in a very simple, easy to implement 90-day plan so that you can take that information and get it deployed in your life. So click the link in the show notes and get signed up for your free 7-day trial. Queen, come home because we're waiting for you. When your decisions come from awareness, then that's when the receiving expands. That's when the ability to hold more of the wealth expands. Right? That's when your capacity grows and your movement stabilizes in the direction that leads you to compound wealth. And that's when your business starts changing, your relationship with yourself, your confidence within yourself, the way that you show up, the way that you deliver, the way that you love, the way that you parent, the way that you're a friend. All of those things start to shift. Everything impacts everything else. So when your internal story starts to shift, then your external results will follow that. Because now your pricing actually reflects your truth and your offers hold the weight because you feel centered and empowered and confident. And your energy behind what you sell actually becomes clean. So instead of selling with muddied energy and selling with all of these things hanging out there, it doesn't matter that you're not saying it, right? It doesn't matter that people don't know your financial situation. It doesn't matter that people don't know your money story. It still infiltrates out into the energy. But with this, your energy becomes clean and then the money responds to that. And that's what makes this so fucking powerful, is that you're able to align your energy in a way that feels good and clean in your soul, which raises your vibration that matches the vibrational frequency of what money is on, for you to be able to now open that portal, open that conduit, and have that money flowing to you, which then means you can expand that to hold more, value more, honor more, respect more, which means you make more and more and more. Your confidence continues to rise. Your relationships continue to become stronger. The way you treat yourself is more powerful. Now, listen, you might be looking at that going, okay, so if I acknowledge this story, make different decisions, right? Because I always say nothing changes unless you do something different, right? Make different decisions. Once I get to that frequency, it all comes together and it's good. I mean, in a simplistic term, yes. The first key is to matching your vibration to the frequency that money is on. In order to sustain that vibration, though, that vibrational frequency, you got to clean out the patterns, the way you're showing up, what you're doing. In the last episode, I told a story about how much I'm holding financially in my household. I'm holding a fuck ton, right? And this is a lot for me because I literally just told you the way that I used to operate with money, right? And so now here we are, and I'm holding all of these parts of money, like 3 huge containers of money, and then all the other fucking bullshit that money is needed for when random shit comes up, like vehicles breaking down and this and that, and then we got to have money for that, right? Or replacing a vehicle in cash because we have a landscaping company and we have to have a fucking truck or an SUV in order to run this company. It has to tow trailers. It has to fit shit inside of it, right? Like it's got to be conducive to the landscaping company, and it's got to be operable and to be able to drive around the county, right? So what did I do different? What was the shift? What was the change? Why am I now more empowered? Because when our landscaping season started this year, I said, I'm doing the money different. I've always ran multiple accounts. I had 3 accounts for the landscaping company. I run the Profit First System by Mike Michalowicz. You should check out that book. It's fucking brilliant. And I've always been off and on with Profit First. Like when there was a lot of money, I killed it for a while, and then the money goes down, and fuck this, fuck that. I'll just do this, I'll just do that, and before you know it's a fucking disaster again, right? So I also run a tight cash system for my household, like day in and day out money. But what happens is humans tend to slip back into what it was that they were doing before, right? And so that's what I do. I'm just a fucking human who slips back into old habits, old patterns, old rhythms, right? When it comes to financials. Well, I used to be that way, but now I'm way tighter than that. So let me rephrase that for myself. I am a human, so it's imperative for me to be mindful that I stay in the rhythm of what I've created now, instead of slipping back into old patterns and behaviors because I get too busy, or I have too much on my plate, or it feels too overwhelming, or I just can't focus on that right now, right? Like it's important that I stay tight. So my household cash plan, Daniel brings the cash home. It's saying, okay, when are you going to divvy it up into its slots and reconcile the cash plan, right? When are you doing that? Because if I don't have that set, what happens is there ends up being 3 weeks of cash envelopes that were never divvied up, but I've had to dip into this one for my massage, and then the next week I had to dip into that one for the massage, and I'm only pulling the money out for the massage, so the remaining balance will still evenly go through the envelopes. But energetically, that tells the universe, I don't really care about the money. I'm ignoring it. I'm not doing with it what needs to be done. I'm just letting it sit aside and kind of dismissing it and being flippant about it and not value honoring and respecting it. So that fucks up the energetic frequency for that, right? Then you look at how I run the household bills that goes into the account, right? So before that, all the money went into our bill account, and then I would move it around for what it needed to be. We would be transferring it out for this, transferring it out for that, transferring over here for this, transferring over there for that. And it kept fucking everything up. And then it was like, oh my gosh, what if I added a layer of the Profit First system to the household account? So instead of all of the money coming in and going straight into the bill account, it goes into the income account like a holding spot. Then I transfer into the bill account exactly the dollar amount that's needed. Daniel goes to the bank and pulls the cash out of the income account. Then when Graham pays for groceries for the month or whatever for 2 weeks, and that comes in, I put that in the income account so that it stays there, it's holding, it's chilling until it's time for groceries, and then we transfer it over to our play, or you could call that operating, right? We call it play because it's an account that we can play with. It's an account that if we go on vacation, that's the account we transfer money into, so that if our card gets stolen, there's only ever enough money in there to do what we're doing. It's not attached to our bills. And it usually doesn't have any money in it, because when we put money in it, we spend the money that's in it. That's how that account is designed, right? So then when it's time for groceries, we just transfer it from the income account to the play account, pay for groceries, done. Once I shifted, literally one thing, the one thing that I shifted was adding an income account and then divvying, instead of having the bill account be where all the money goes into. It changed everything. So now household financials are fucking phenomenal. I mean, they're unbelievably set. They're the best that they've ever been. I've been running this fucking cash plan for 15 or more years, but this is the best the household financials have ever been. I'm going to go back to the Sword story. When the Sword Landscaping started, that's the name of our company. I got to tell you about this name. So Sword is our initials. Graham doesn't get to be a part of the initials. It would fuck it all up, and he's fine with that. He's not actually part of the landscaping company anyways. So my one kid Stratton, my other kid Ronan, Daniel, Alishia, and then the W is for our last name, Willardson. So the logo is gray, and then the W is green. But sword also means a blade of grass. How fucking pimp is that, right? So we're sword landscaping. So anyways, when I went to set the sword financials, I was sitting and I was talking to Graham. Geminis are phenomenal with money. That's just something about the Gemini zodiac sign, phenomenal with money. If you're listening to this and you're a Gemini sun sign and you're shitty with money, it's because you're living in your shadow. Geminis are the most exemplary money people I have ever met. And I have seen this across the board with every single Gemini I have met. This is unequivocal, okay? Every single one of them. Okay, so anyways, I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? We've been running this company for 8 years and it's all fucked up every single season. I can't keep the money straight. Money's coming and going. Now in this account, in this company, I always had an income account, I have an operating expense account, and I have a holding account. I always had those three. But it was still a fucking nightmare. Nothing was right because, oh, we're pulling money for, labor, but then we also need supplies and then we also need operating expenses. How much of this is actually profit? So what would happen, it was like, oh, the household needed this much dollars and it didn't matter. This many dollars, and it didn't matter whether or not the company had it to give. We had to have a certain amount of money that went into the household. And so that was such a challenge for us because if the company didn't make that money that week, but we had it pulled back from people paying for like a whole year of service, then it would get all fucked up and it would be spent. And then we get to the end of the season, there's not labor and there's not this and there's not that, right? So what I did is I created an individual accounts and again, doubled down on profit first. And literally the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because it's like little teeny tiny tweaks that you can make that actually create a big result. It raises the frequency, it raises the vibe, and it literally helps you shift how you operate with money through action by making these seemingly small changes that have huge results. So what I did was, like I said, we had an income, we had an operating expense, and we had a holding, but I shifted that. So now we have an income, we have an operating expense, we have supplies, we have labor, and we have profit. And so now every week I'm reconciling, I'm putting money in each of the accounts, and now we're never taking money thinking that it's profit, but it was really needed for supplies or it was really needed from labor or for labor. And now it's like all fucking clear. And now that vibrational frequency has shifted to how I run the money. And I know it seems crazy. It's like, wow, it took you 8 years to decide this. Well, I was running it and I was managing and it was okay. And it was working some years and not others. Every year we were creating a different system to get better at it, right? So it's not like we just sat there and it was just what it was. I was always creating a new system and just up-leveling. And then this is what it came to. Wishes this is where it would have started, but progress, not perfection. And so now it's so fucking clean. There's plenty of money in labor. There's plenty of money in supplies, buying new lawnmowers, weed eaters, things like that, right? There's plenty of money in profit. But when profit gets down low, it's okay because the money in labor is still there and the money in supply is still there and operating expenses is still there, right? And so it's just making these adjustments. And then the last thing that I needed to do to clean up the like management of like the daily, weekly, monthly management of the financials was my company, AWE, right? And so when I looked at that, I was like, okay, do I need it to look like SWORD? Do I want it to look like more of the household? What's that process going to be? Well, I didn't need to create new accounts. I just needed to adjust how I was allocating the money that was going into the income account. So for my company, it was just coming up with the percentages that needed to be done and start doing those percentages and moving the money where it needed to go because the way that I had the account segregated was already working. So I share all this with you to say, first and foremost, under the premium membership level inside of the Queendom, you get my Money Magic Soul Camp, and I walk you through my cash and bank account plan. It doesn't have the separated bank accounts like this, like what I'm talking about here. I actually probably will do an upgrade to it. But the cash plan that I run with a bank financial plan is something I've been doing, I think, 14, 15 years. I don't know what year we're in. 2020. Okay, so 14 years-ish, somewhere right around there. And anytime that cash plan gets off, as long as I get right back on, boom, it's right back on track. And when I'm on track and I'm divvying up the cash and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and not transferring money to hell and back, and all of those things, guess what happens? It raises the vibration, raises my money frequency, raises my money energy, and then boom, the floodgates open, and now I have a larger capacity to receive the money. So I just wanted to share that with you in like these different areas, personal life, the two businesses, so you can see when we talk about taking action, it's not necessarily something crazy. Don't get me wrong. It took 5 hours to come up with the solid plan for Sword that would work, right? It took me 2 to 3 hours to up level the household financials and what that looked like. But it took me maybe 20 minutes to set up AWEs, right? So yeah, it's going to take some time for you to come up with what's solid. However, once you do, now you have the new thing, the new process, the way to follow it. And now you can follow it so that you can get a different result. All right. So that's why I wanted to share that with you, because you know me, I'm always transparent here on the podcast, real life, real shit, real raw. Right. And I've been running these 3 systems and I didn't do them all at once because I didn't have the capacity to hold that. I was restructuring my money frequency and vibration and how I honor it and value it, respect it, and work with it in a different way this season. And because I up leveled Sword first, the other 2 just started up leveling along with it. And it's been fucking brilliant. There's like no stress about where things are going and how it's going. Right? How the stress comes from vehicles breaking down and all this other shit. But because we have the profit account, it's been a simple decision to make. Okay, we have this many dollars in the profit account. This is how much money we have to get the vehicle, but we got to register it and then this and then that. And so it's been so cool because we can make more empowered decisions now because of the way that things are lined up. The crew knows they can run to Home Depot and get supplies or da 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 da. I'm not saying that this is exactly how you would do it. What I'm really wanting to press upon you is the way that you manage your money either depletes or raises your vibration. So even if you're good at managing it, if you're managing it in a way that causes constriction, you are closing down the flood and the portal, right? You're closing down the receiving of more. So the way that you want to create it is with allowing and openness and welcomeness. Like, I'm like trying to think of what the opposite of constriction is, but it's literally open, right? I'm here, I'm allowing, I'm ready for it, right? So anyways, I hope that helped you and gave you just some ideas for yourself. Like, inside the Queendom, we can talk more about this in the community. We can talk more about this in wealth camps. If you have questions on this, I'm here to answer them. So we can dive deeper into this and I can help you build something for you that works with you, your birth chart, your personality, how you move, and that sort of thing. So if this landed for you, we want to welcome you into the Queendom because that's where we do this work, the soul work, the wealth work, the relationship work. All of it happens inside the Queendom. And the link is in the show notes. You get a 7-day free trial. And at the time that I'm recording this, the lowest tier is $11 a month. Premium is where the fuck it's at though, at $55 a month, because you're really getting a ton of amazing things that are going to help you. And it's all very structured, all very systemized, all very created in a way that you can do step by step by step, but also so that you can train on the things that your soul is calling for and you're being called forward on, and then just let the stuff that isn't for you right now sit. The very first thing you're going to want to do though is to do the 30-day Soul Wealth and Relationship Reset Challenge, because it's going to interrupt these patterns and give you the direction to focus on, like we were talking about in one of the most recent podcast episodes. I don't know if it was the last one. It might have been the last one, to get you on the direction of where you want to go. And I just want to say that I want you to remember that nothing changes unless you do something different in the moment that you would do the thing you've always done. You need to write that down. Nothing changes unless I do something different in the exact moment where I would have normally done what I've always done, right? You've got to do the different thing in that moment, because then that's when things start to shift. Now declare this: I release what I learned and I receive in alignment with who I am. Let's upgrade that a little bit. I release what I learned about money and I receive in alignment with who I am. I release what I learned about money and I receive in alignment with who the fuck I am. I release what I learned about money and I receive in alignment with who I am. And remember, you are worth it. You are always fucking worth it. The world needs who you were made to be. So show up every single fucking day as the badass you are and slay. I'm Power Coach Alishia, and we'll see you next time. Oh my gosh, Queen, thank you so much for being here, because we're all in this together through this journey called life. And if something landed for you today, if something moved inside of you in this episode and you felt that fire light the fuck up in you, then your next step is to step forward for yourself into the Queendom, because this is where we do this work together live every single month. The soul work, the healing, the wealth blueprint, all tied to your birth chart and your soul's design. So just click the link in the show notes to start your free 7-day trial and know that this castle was built for you. We will see you inside.